Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, the live stream, whatever it is you want to call it. Thank you so much for joining me early today. Super, super appreciate it. Hello, Andy. Hello, Alyssa. Gloomy town. We actually have sunshine now. It's amazing. I'm I'm shocked that we have sunshine now because we haven't had sunshine in days. My friend. So it feels really, really good I don't have access to this feature. Your girl is still learning live. I guess I don't get, okay. I don't get to look at any of the other live stream features anymore. So that's fine. That's fine. We're just going to keep on keeping on. Welcome. I am so glad you're here to have a little chit chat with me today. We're going to chat a little bit about my journey into the feminine energy type stuff and how it relates to my wellness journey. We're going to open up the floor for a Q&A session, good old fashioned, and we will talk about whatever else comes up along the way, my friends. I was reading this to the sound of rain earlier. Oh, that sounds so lovely. That sounds so lovely. Some of ours, it's here in Arizona. Oh my goodness. Hi, hello, hello. I don't know what it's like. It's dark out. It's dark out. Yeah, it's been gloom and doom across a lot of places lately. Hang on, I gotta take a sip. And I'm gonna react weirdly because this is salty. Oh, it's not so. Ooh, it hits you in the back of the mouth. This is my element, my electrolyte beverage. One thing that I have been doing has been increasing my hydration. And today I'm doing a bang up job, my friends. Have you met? Have you met my new baby? Look, it actually matches my outfit almost perfectly. Oh my goodness. So this is my new baby. This is a Mikoi tumbler, Stanley Cup Who, my friend. Stanley Cup Who, okay? This tumbler, I linked it down below for y'all because I knew I was going to have it with me and I wasn't sure if people would ask. If accurate, I went on Amazon today to get the link for y'all. And not only is this list price $25 versus the Stanley Cup $40, there was a coupon for 25% off, which for the record is cheaper than what I got it for. By the way, I only got a coupon for 10% off on Amazon, but today there was a 25% off. I don't know how Amazon coupons work, okay? Is it like, you know how sometimes, like, let's use Target for example. Target's a great example. So, you know how Target has the Circle app and everything, right? And you can get different, like, bonus opportunities. So, for example, one that I had was get $40 off if you like a $40 voucher if you in a period of time spend over $120 four times or something like that. Like that was my challenge. Spend over $120 four times, you get $40 off one of your purchases. Cool. My husband also, excuse me, has the Circle app, right? But I'm the one who does most of the shopping. I do 95% of the shopping. So his account has a different algorithm attached to it. So he got one during the same period of time that was like spend $80 four times and get a $20 something. So I don't know if the coupons on Amazon are based on your spending habits on Amazon, like things like Target are, right? If anything that I just said makes sense at all. But if you can get 25% off of this already really inexpensive, budget-friendly 40-ounce tumbler, do it because it also comes in really, really gorgeous colors, y'all. And so the reason I'm telling you that I'm killing it is this is 40 ounces and I'm on my third refill today. If I finish this, I'm done with my water requirement for the day. And so I decided, you know what would be really smart because I'm clearly leveling up the water intake. I made some electrolytes because I don't want to overdo the hydration without making sure that I'm getting my electrolytes in as well. Ooh. Michelle says it's gloomy and rainy here today too. I have to go pick up my grandson from work after this meeting. So fun. You get to hang out with your grandson. Where does everyone else live, man? I think I need to move. Minnesota, baby. Minnesota. Stanleys are overhyped though. I'll be honest. I want to like the tumblers. tumblers. I keep looking at them and talking myself out of buying them. And it's to each their own, right? It's to each their own. So, excuse me, I snorted. That happens every once in a while. For me, it makes practical sense. I drink better out of a straw. Like, it just is what it is. I consume more water when my beverage is in a straw. I have actually been consuming, not every single day, but most days since I got it. A company reached out to me called Hello Gut and wanted to send me their product that like has just launched or something. And it is a powder that has all sorts of good for you gut stuff in it, and it has psyllium husk fiber, so it can get like, you can't let it sit. So it's one of those things that like I pour it in, and then you have to have it with like a big cup of water, because you don't want to ingest something like that on minimal water. So it's not like, let me just put it in as little as possible and shoot it. That's not the game we play with this. But so like I fill up like a plastic Tupperware, actually Tupperware plastic cup, and some days I will sit there and I will chug, 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 chug. But on the days that I like don't really want to do it, but I also know that like it's good for my health and I should probably just consume the thing, I'll go and I'll grab one of my smoothie straws and I'll stick my smoothie straw in there. And it goes down so much easier for me when I use a straw. So for one, it has a straw. For two, it has a handle, and your girl likes things, nay, needs things with handles. Everything is just better for me in my disabled hands with a handle. And it's not that I can't use this, but it has to be like a perfect size or whatever, so I love this thing. And I'm really not trying to like be a sales pitch, but if I'm going to tell you to buy it, then I might as well give you the full rundown. Silicone topped straw, that was the word. And watch me get water all over myself for doing this. Nope. Spill proof, y'all. I got one drop of water on me. There's a spring-loaded doohickey. See, Andy? Naturally, I use that word. There's a spring-loaded doohickey in here that when you remove the straw, it seals up the hole. Stanley don't have that. Stanley who? Weather here is nasty and I keep losing power. Oh no, that's not great. Perfect timing for the topic. I just came from my physical, did all the labs, including to determine if I'm officially in Prairie, set up the mammo, set up my first colonoscopy, refresh my tetanus. Mac, you're just rearing to go. You're getting all the things set up. Sam's Club had Stanley dupe for like 2 for $20 last year. That's awesome. The dupes are good enough. I carried around a Stanley the entire time I was in Florida, and I liked it. It's what made me know that I liked this kind of cup, but I wasn't married to the expensive brand one. If you can find me one that's pretty and functional and works just as well, then great. I don't care if it says Stanley on it. So mine doesn't. Mine says Miyuki. I like the way they feel in my hand. Specific ones like the Stanley and the Uwala Yeti isn't as comfortable. I think my dream would be a tumbler with a free sip lid because that straw is the game changer. I do not like free sip. I don't. No. Another reason, and here's a practical reason. Ready? So for the people that like to, my husband uses water bottles that also are free sip. I can't, the muscle movement that it requires, like anybody who's got a cup or a water bottle with them, pick it up right now and pour it like you're going to take a big drink. The muscles that I need to do that practically, I can do it if I have to, but like it's a lot more work for me, and especially when they're full. So the straw, my arms get to stay down here and I can drink all I want. So for me, the straw is the jam. Mine does have the chug motion, but it also has the straw. Oh yeah. No, I don't like these. I don't use them. I have a bunch of them and I don't use them anymore. I just can't. They come in adorable prints. Temu, $14. I love it. On TikTok is a dude who makes fun of the Stanley craze. He made it a Home Depot bucket, stenciled Stanley on it, and filmed himself lugging it around. Nice. Yeah, and I mean, it's a crazy craze. Wow, that was my husband's sneeze. That was really loud. I'll be surprised if you guys didn't hear that. I tell you what, why? I'm not focused. Hang on. Oh. Okay, I was wondering why I looked so big. That's why. Now it'll focus on me and stop going blurry. Fantastic. All right, my friends, let's get started with our actual conversation by starting with highs and lows. I want to hear all about your week. And the highs and lows is where the community has the opportunity to share with one another. So I want to hear about your high, the highlight of your week, whatever that is. There is no celebration, no highlight that is so small that it is not worth celebrating, my friends. And if you are here for the replay, I want to hear all of your answers to these in the comment section down below. Okay. So give me your highs, give me your lows if you feel so inclined to share. I would love to hear about them as well. What are you struggling with? What's the, not quite greatest moment of the week? How can we support you? Then I would love to hear any wellness wins that you have for the week, things that specifically pertain to your wellness journey. And then, of course, I would love to hear about what you are working on right now. My high was, y'all, this was Easter weekend, and we went to my small group's house and we had the whole group together. I don't remember the last time our entire group got together, but we were all available weirdly on Easter Sunday and we got together. And my small group leader made ham and we all brought things to share and it was just lovely. There were babies, there were two babies and they were so cute and we got all of our baby kicks and it was a great time to just be able to sit and talk and be together. It was absolutely lovely. And this was after, Easter weekend at church. We were at church on Friday. My husband worked the services all weekend, so he spent a lot of time at church. And it was just nice to go and feel so at home at a place that wasn't our home. It's really kind of awesome to me how our small group leader's house has come to feel like a second home. We were just there again last night because we had our actual small group meeting where we discussed the last chapter of the book, Jesus in a Secular World, which I thought was a really fascinating study, really educational, really helpful for us. And it was good. It was good. It was just, the whole thing was lovely. So Easter weekend was lovely. My low is that was my ultrasound last week. My time is all blurring together. My low is my ultrasound, not because anything horrible happened with my ultrasound, but because it hurt. It hurt. And it was just like I was not expecting. Okay, so I got an ultrasound of my upper right quadrant here for my liver, and I was not. When you see people getting ultrasounds, you typically think of pregnant individuals, right? And you see them like gliding along the tummy, occasionally maybe pushing in. This lady was digging digging in to try and get the right pictures. I get it, but it took a lot longer than I thought it would, and then it was a lot more aggressive than I thought it would be, which was very strange. But all seems to be reasonably okay, so that's great. Um, my wellness win. My wellness win. Here's what I'm going to share about my wellness win. Two things. One, on Easter, I did not have dessert while we were at my small group leader's house. Why is this a wellness win? Because instead of feeling the pull, feeling obligated to enjoy some of the desserts that were available, there were 3 desserts available, one of which I made. And like, instead of being like, it's Easter, of course you got to have dessert, I was so preoccupied after dinner and just having a cup of coffee and being engaged in discussion at the table that when dessert came out, I wasn't even inclined to go get any. Because I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll bring some home and I'll have it later. And that's exactly what I did. I brought home what I wanted to have. And then at like 6 p.m. is when I actually had dessert. It was later in the day when I was hungry again. And that has never happened to me before. Not on a festive holiday that often centers around a big meal and delicious desserts. That has never happened to me before. So that was actually a very big wellness win. And the second wellness win is, I thought of another low. My ankle's been bothering me, is another low. But my second wellness win is because of this ankle. I'm still managing. I don't know where the line is. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know. I don't know. But I have been showing up for myself by getting on the elliptical machine every day this week so far. every single day. Not for too long. Today I did 28 minutes, and that was enough, and that will have to be enough. But I'm making sure that I get moving to my body's ability, And if things really end up wonky, then I'll stop. But I feel like it was a big win for me to be like, you know what? Let's try the elliptical. And the weird thing is, my ankle doesn't hurt on the elliptical. Riddle me that. Am I working on it? My working on it is, what am I working on? What am I working on? Fiber intake? Let's just use fiber intake. I've been very conscious of the types of nutrition coming into my body lately. Fiber intake focus, and I'm also trying to make sure I get adequate protein. Protein has really, that is the one thing I think truly that has fallen to the wayside since I let go of tracking was my protein intake. Your girl got 120 to 140 grams of protein a day while she was tracking macros. And I know I'm nowhere near that now. And so that's really the thing that's taken the hit. So that's the thing I need to work on. Lissa's hi was I was invited to a friend's house for Easter, which meant I actually did something for the holiday. That's fair, Andy. That's totally fair. Hi is that I made an appointment to get checked out for ADHD. That's fantastic. Good for you. Seriously, good for you, because that can be such a hard thing, especially as adults, to have your world shaken up in a way where, like, okay, maybe this diagnosis that I didn't know I have is something I have, and then treating it and all the things. Like, the first step is the hardest, and you made the appointment, and that's awesome. A few things happened over the last 2 days at work, one definite low, and then I'm feeling anxious about another thing, even if it's not necessarily a low. So your low is that you're anxious about the thing, not the thing itself. Low is I can't get in for a month, so it's going to drive me crazy pants all month. I hear that. Not being able to get in when you feel you need medical attention is a hard thing right now, for sure. Yes, it does depend on the use of the ultrasound, Andy, for sure. My win is I started going to the gym 3 days a week with my hubby and doing well, not caring how many people are around me. That's great. That's really, really great. Good for you. Michelle's hi is I'm leading my first healthy meeting tomorrow and I'm a little nervous. Michelle, here's my advice. Stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. You go to healthy meetings. You know how they run. You know what your area of expertise is in terms of how you feel about things and the belief system that you bring to things. So make sure that you stick to your guns about it all, because it can be hard. It can be challenging to manage different people. But stick to your guns, and I think it'll be great. I think it'll be great. Heavy rain here and lightning, win. I've been getting my act together with food, and that alone is a win. But I also started weighing myself on an actual scale after avoiding it for months. I did not know that. Did I know that? I did not know that. That is a wellness win. Well, the win is how are you responding to it? And we don't have to get into it here, but I'm just like, there's so much to unpack there, more than just like I weighed myself on a scale for the first time in months. There's a lot to unpack there. I love that. My low is that it's time to start preparing the house for Passover. I almost have my list of what to do. I love the holiday, but it's a lot of work, especially since I live alone. I don't know what it's like to prepare the house for Passover. But I'm sorry that it's a lot of work, but I know it's also like, is it a tradition that you enjoy embracing? Because sometimes even when, like, it's kind of the same thing that I feel at Christmas. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the Christmas season and everything is crazy and there's travel and there's this and there's that and there's other things that we forget to sit down and actually like lean into the season, and like be like, oh, but this is about Christmas and Christmas is about X, Y, and you know what I mean? Michelle, I'm excited for your meeting. I love that support, Grace. So definite low is that my hours were cut by quite a bit, going from 23 to 15 and a half. Oh no. Oh no. That's not ideal. Definitely not ideal. All right, my friends, as the highs and the lows keep on rolling in. Ooh, salty. It just kind of makes you pucker. Ooh. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's chit chat a little bit. And I'll be honest, I had the intention of getting up here and actually preparing like some bullet points and stuff for this entire idea, and I ran out of time. So we're going to be flying by the seat of our pants, but I would love for this conversation for you to actively participate in it and give your thoughts and recommendations and things that you're thinking and all of that, okay? Um no, you know, I decided to impulsively on Monday because my shape is giving me a hard time. I don't care. I both don't care about the number and excited that I'm down a chunk since Monday. Nice. Nice. Okay, cool. Um, so feminine energy, and here's the thing. I can't see what I titled my video on here. I have no idea what I titled this, but I think it was something along the lines of embracing like the feminine energy as it pertains to your wellness journey. Okay. And so here are a couple of things that I have been thinking. Oh, I need to turn on the little question box in case we got questions that we want. Start a Q&A. Can I do that? Ask me anything. Still relearning the YouTube thing, guys. There we go. Using YouTube. There we go. All right. All right. Now I go to the live chat. Fantastic. Okay. I'm a pant size down from January. That's great news. That's great for you. I'm so happy for you, Lissa. That's awesome. Um, feminine energy is, in my opinion, and this is something I want to continue. I have to. I have barely scratched the surface of what this entire concept means. Surface level, I just deleted the stuff I was typing out. That's the worst. That's the worst. Can you control Z? Command Z? That's become one of my absolute favorite computer commands because it will undo almost anything that I have done. Almost anything that I have done. But the feminine energy, when we think of the feminine energy, right, and embracing the feminine energy, a lot of it, you automatically think of like, well, actually, that's the question. What do you, when you think feminine energy, what do you think of? Type it in the chat. What do you think of when I say the words feminine energy, femininity, feminine energy, anything of that nature? I would be very curious to know what comes to mind for you when I say those words. Because for me, I want to give y'all a minute before I give my 2 cents about it. But it is something that for me, I have been again, I say barely scratching the surface. And there is, on the surface level, I have always felt a little bit more feminine, right? And actually, for me, a more accurate depiction of why this is something I want to lean into is because, not because of learning what is on the feminine energy side per se, but actually it's because of learning what leaning into the masculine means and what that sort of entails. What is the masculine energy? And hearing those things makes me go, maybe I need to lean away from that and lean into the opposite, which is the feminine energy. And the thing I'm anxious about, it looks like I'm finally going to be at the store I'm supposed to work at soon. That's great. But it also means the bit of consistency I have with my hours and schedule is likely to start changing, and I'm a bit nervous about that. It's got to be a go with the flow type situation. It's got to be a go with the flow. I know going with the flow is hard, but the season you're in is going to require a little bit more flow. It's going to require a little bit more flow, and that's okay. That's okay. You just have to embrace that season of learning how to deal with a more erratic schedule. My daughter had gastric bypass surgery on Monday. She seems to be doing well. I will see her when I take my grandson home. That is a long road ahead. That is a long road ahead. My sister had the same thing, so I know exactly what that's like. Not like physically, but like experiencing someone close to you doing that. Embracing. Thank you, Andy, for telling me the title of my video. My definition is embracing and loving all that I am. Ooh, I like that. Emotional expression, creativity, nurturing, introspection, embracing the beauty around you. It's hard to embrace a season when I'm not sleeping because I'm having constant anxiety attacks. And as therapy is way, 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 way above my pay grade, but I would suggest a couple of things. One, praying about it, because there's a lot that the Bible has to say about anxiety and worry and things of that nature. So why not take it to the source? Why not take it to God and have a conversation with him about it? But also journal it out. What are you anxious about? Because anxiety is worry over something that has not happened. It's worry over a perceived fear, not a concrete one, right? So the idea of anxiety, and I'm speaking as somebody who gets anxiety more often than she would like, right? But it's because of something in my brain telling me that this has the potential to be a not awesome, and by not awesome I mean dangerous, fearful, harmful, uncomfortable situation, but I have absolutely no concrete evidence of that, right? Whereas a fear is something that is concrete. The bear is coming for you. I am afraid, right? That's the bear. Anxiety is thinking you will encounter a bear if you go for a walk in a nature filled area. I'm using big layman's terms, but journal it out. What exactly is it that you're afraid of? Because anxiety is fear of something. So, what is it that you're afraid of? Nothing really comes up for me when you use that word. I was the girl that hung out with all the boys. I had a lot of childhood trauma and it made myself a hard outer shell. It's why I really wanted to catch this live so bad. I would love to be more feminine. My friend, this doesn't even scratch the surface. I want to do more in depth, like not live stream, but like actual sit down, talk about it, videos about this very topic. But I'm a beginner in the journey. I'm a beginner in the journey and I'm excited about the journey. So here's what I think of when I think feminine. Honestly, when you tell me feminine, I picture wispy little thing with her makeup and hair done in like the frilly dress, not like the tight sexy dress, but like in the bohemian kind of flowy skirt, lacy top thing. Like that's what I picture when I think feminine, right? And if you take the dive a little bit deeper, I get closer to definitions of like what Grace said, for example, nurturing, loving. I think of like calm and poised and but like poised but with like a just like a calm is the best way I could say it, like a peace around her, a magnetism around her. When I think feminine, I have a picture of this mystery woman in my head, right? But it becomes so much more than that. And one of the things that really spoke to me, like I said earlier, was when I started to hear about what kind of things are in the masculine energy. And like as a broad spectrum example, to-do lists are in a masculine energy. Results are a masculine energy. So I think of course, when you think masculine energy, you think like the businessman with the result. I think my husband, the spreadsheet with the numbers and the results and the plan to get, 25% more, blah, 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 blah. And here is the 5 star or the 3 points. In business, it's always 3 points, right? That's how it is. And this is the plan to do this. We're going to do A, B, and C. It's always 3 points and it's always in a PowerPoint presentation and it always has spreadsheets and tables and numbers, right? That inherently is very masculine energy. And so I think of that and I mention that and I bring that up because as a business owner, as somebody who has to look at numbers and metrics and views and comments and likes and followers and dollars, that's a very masculine energy place to live. And the masculine energy can get heavy, right? I think I read this quote to you guys once before. And if you were at my healthy meeting today, I'm sorry you're going to hear it again. This is from the book called The Queen's Code. And it is a book that I highly, highly, highly recommend. I think the author's name, I think, is Allison Armstrong. And highly recommend because, and the Queen's Code is specifically how women can relate to men specifically, but it's really, really good. And this quote stood out to me as like a Oh, this explains why I am the way that I am. Okay. As a woman, I can task, meaning do things, from dawn until dusk with no consequence if I have no deadline. But accountability requires testosterone. While we can obviously be accountable over time, it exhausts women. And accountability is like, is that quite the word that makes me go, huh? Not quite, but like the deadline is the thing that really spoke to me, and the accountability is the to-do list. And I sit and I think about myself and how I am the individual who will be like, I would like to clean X, Y, and Z. And then I bust out a little to-do list and I write it on, the list of goals for the week. I would like to X. And it's like some magic force overtakes me and tells me, you now that you're expected to do it, you no longer get to do it. You no longer want to do it. Does anybody else have that experience? I know I like regularly have that experience. How many times in my goals, this is my power sheets over here. How many times in my goals have I written down read every day? And I go, oh, I only did that about a third of the time. But on the months that I don't write down read as a daily goal, you better believe my butt is in that chair reading every single morning. Make that make sense. And that statement, that book, made it make sense. We can task, we can do from dawn until dusk without consequence, with ample energy, stamina, desire to continue, as long as it's not something that we need to get done. We have to go, we have to function, we thrive. When you're leaning into the feminine energy, you thrive when you function from get to, not have to. That's the difference. That's where we thrive. And so, if we zoom out of that, right? If you start looking as women wanting to embrace their feminine side, if you start switching, and how many times have I said, think of it not like you have to do it, but you get to do it. How awesome you get to go and move your body every day. That's the exact mindset. There's a reason that it works. There's a reason that changing that word speaks to your feminine and automatically makes you go, oh, I get to X, Y, and Z. I have to eat my vegetables because it's good for me. I get to nourish my body with healthy foods, every food choice that I decide to make. I have to go to the gym because it's going to burn the calories. I get to go to the gym because it honors my body to move it and treat it well. The energy between those statements is so different. It's so different. And I never understood before how and why changing have to, need to, should to get to, why that spoke to me so much. So for me, when I put the homemaker hat on, it becomes an issue when I have to blitz clean the house because X, Y, and Z, because it's gotten so out of control, because this, because that. But when I have a whole day like Monday this week, y'all, I had nothing, not an appointment, not even a hockey game that I need to watch. And I never need to watch them, but I'm always aware that they're on so I can sit with my husband and participate in a hobby that he enjoys. I never once I never had anything on my calendar. And I spent the entire day productive, cleaning. I got on the elliptical for 45 minutes, an entire episode of Grey's Anatomy. And then I stretched my body. And then I got upstairs and I was like, you know what I want to do? I would like to clean the kitchen. And I cleaned the kitchen and I dusted the entire house and I tidied and I vacuumed. And then I was like, you know what? This is not good enough. I am going to go figure out a way to deep clean my floors. And I went to Target and got myself a Swiffer, and life was good. And I ended the day just shy of 15,000 steps. I was exhausted, but this is the very human design generator part of me, in the most satisfying way possible. In the most satisfying way possible. I sat down at the end of the day on the couch with my husband, took my pills, and was so tired and that I started falling asleep. And I thought it was probably 10:30 PM, and it turns out he's like, "Are you falling asleep? You should go downstairs and finish getting ready for bed, get in bed." And it was 9:30 when he told me that. So I spent the entire day in this state of flow, in this state of doing, in this state of nurturing and providing and doing all of these things. And it was great. But if there's a day that I have to, like days like today are exhausting in a completely different way because my day today is filled with have tos. My day today is filled with appointments. My day today is filled up with things that I need to show up for, people that I need to show up for. I don't have a choice in the matter. I do, but it would be really rude of me to renege on those responsibilities. And that's a completely different energy. When I look at my calendar, it doesn't matter how much I enjoy what I do because I do. Speaking with y'all and hanging out with y'all, love it. Great time. It's still an obligation with a time and no option. And so I look at my day, I look at my calendar, and I see one-on-one coaching call. Thrilled for myself. I have a one-on-one client that wants me to have a positive impact in their life. So excited. I meet with this individual right after I'm done here. I get to do this. I'm hosting a webinar tonight about the 4 secrets you need to know about making progress towards your goal body without tracking or dieting. I get to do that webinar tonight. I get to educate people. And at the end, I get to tell people about the course that I have been working on, which is a whole nother level of masculine energy, right? This morning I had to lead a healthy meeting. I have to show up. People expect me to be there. So I look at calendar days like today and I go, oh man, that's a lot of needing to show up. That's a lot of, putting myself together and doing the thing, doing the business. And it's very cool to see, look at all of these things I have to do today. But it's a very different energy from Monday when my Google Calendar is literally a blank column. And it's full of, what do you want to do today? How can you nurture your environment? How can you nurture yourself, your health, your body, your mind? And it's such a different energy. And let's be clear, we have both, right? I have to tap into my masculine energy when I'm doing my job. I have to. That's part of the job, right? But it's so different than leaning into the feminine energy. And so my goal is not to eliminate the masculine, but to knock it down a few pegs and embrace a more feminine approach to life, not just to wellness, not just to business, literally to life, my friends. That's the goal. That's the intention. Do, 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 do. Feminine energy to me, I'm scrolled up to Michelle's comment, is using my creativity to solve problems, find beauty in as much of life as possible, nurturing myself and others. I love how multiple people have said that feminine energy to them means finding the beauty in something. I love that. I really do. My anxiety has gone from can't leave the bungalow to can't leave my bed. I'm sorry, Andy. Feminine can also be strong, hard, firm boundary setting. Absolutely. Feminine energy, like you strong feminine women aren't, for lack of a better term, pushovers, right? And here's the thing about strong feminine energy. When you set those boundaries, when all of that, they are respected because it's coming from this place of kindness, goodness. And I could be wrong, but in my brain, somebody leaning heavily into their feminine energy is also very kind, and courteous, and because the nurturer comes out, you have a heart for other people, so you're not mean. You can be stern. You can be, I don't even know if stern's the right word, but you're never mean. You're never unkind. Um, Interesting, the to-do lists are masculine energy when the planner communities on social media are geared towards women. I would agree. Because those are technically in direct opposition of one another. The feminine is not a to-do list. Hang on, I have to sneeze. Oh no. Okay, that came out of nowhere. Wowza. The way you just describe your hubs describes me. I don't find that masculine. I find that empowering. And that's fine. You might be an individual that has more of the masculine energy running through you. It doesn't matter your gender, male or female. You have a certain level of masculine and feminine energy. And some people are naturally more masculine and some are naturally more feminine. This is something that I'm learning to accept about myself. And if you've known me for a while and you go back and you reflect and all of what you've seen, I try to lean into the masculine. I try to have all the to-do lists and the strict routines and the this and the other thing. I try to do that. I try to set myself up for success. I try to have the discipline, right? Discipline is inherently masculine too. Um, Devotion. Remember that conversation we had, discipline versus devotion? Devotion is much more feminine, feels much more feminine to me. Discipline is much more masculine. What happens when I try to have all of the to-do lists and the rigid routines and the strict rules and the numbers and do it for the metrics and do it for the things? What happens to me? Y'all know. If you've been here a while, y'all know. I crumble. I fail. It doesn't go the way that I had planned, the way that I had hoped, or the way that I desire. It never does. Give me one example of when it has gone my way, when I have tried to lean into that energy. You won't find one. You won't. So for me, the masculine energy is definitely something that I find draining. It's definitely something that I find. And here's something else. I would be really interested, Mac, to know what your human design is. It's something that's sounds very woo-woo, but it's something that I am a pretty big believer in because my human design explains me so perfectly. Explains me so perfectly. And generators are very much aligned with feminine energy. So, I'd be curious to know what your human design is. But so for me, that power, that masculine causes me to trip, causes me to stumble, causes me to fail, right? Whereas for me, when I lean into the feminine and when I'm off in a way and maybe even not showing up with the rigid, when I kind of fall off the content and fall off of whatever, I'm not sitting around doing nothing. I'm actually really leaning into my feminine. I am cleaning the house and baking the things and taking care of my husband and reorganizing and going for walks and nourishing my body. I'm doing all sorts of things. And it's just the idea of the strictness of a schedule and an obligation that sometimes shuts me down. And I've been a lot better about it. And I've also been a lot better about, like, if I don't have a video, like last week with my launch and everything, I just flat out didn't have a video. And instead of trying to claw my way through it, I was just like, you know what, guys, sorry, no video today. And accepting that a lot more and going with that sort of flow and that sort of energy. I thrive over in that energy. So for me, while other women can find that they thrive more in the masculine, for me, I know I don't. And it has taken me years to learn what it is and accept it about myself. So now that I've learned and accepted, I'm understanding, like, if I look back historically, I'm thriving when I'm hanging out in my feminine energy. I just am. And knowing that about myself allows me to show up better for myself. I'm getting that started up. I've never been to therapy, totally looking into it now. When I think masculine, I picture rugged, outdoorsy, beard, flannel, and work pods. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. It's funny. Doesn't that tell you what kind of world I live in? I don't live in a world surrounded by the more rugged types. I live in a world surrounded by businessmen. Yeah, businessmen. My father-in-law is a doctor. My husband's brother is a businessman. So, and I live in a place where, actually, interestingly, not my family, but my husband's family, very traditional, save my youngest sister-in-law, or I guess my only sister-in-law, very traditional gender roles. My mother-in-law doesn't work, and my father-in-law brings home the bacon. My husband, I do this, but like technically we live off of my husband's income. His brother, same thing. His wife is a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling, all of the things, and he's the working man. So like there's very much a gender dynamic in that side of the family that we just kind of fall into. And that kind of is a natural feminine and masculine in my life. What about a builder, masculine or feminine? A builder, like somebody who builds, creates things with their hands. It really depends, and this is something that I don't know. I think the I think it's more of like the part behind it. The need to build, to provide, masculine. The idea of building something as a way to create something, feminine. As a trauma survivor myself, I would recommend EMDR. Sometimes, but I do, but there's also times where if I don't write it down, it will not get done. And that's fair. And I'm not saying the to-do lists are bogus. I have an app called Tick Tick where I keep a running list of things I need to do. But it's really interesting to me how some of the things get done only when I don't actually look at the to-do list. And I go back and I check in later and I'm like, oh, I have these things that I've already done. I also have 4 things on the to-do list that have been on there for a week because I just haven't done them. They're on to-do list. I look at them every time I pick up my phone because I have the widget on my phone. So every time I look, I can see what needs to get done. And yet I don't. I'll do other things, but I don't do that thing. Makes so much sense. My days are always filled with have to tasks. Why does anything have to be masculine and feminine in today's life? It depends how you want to live. I believe that the masculine and the feminine were created for a purpose, and they were created to work together. Those energies were created to be different, but to partner, to help, to complete one another. And so they don't need to be the same. They're not the same, right? You have this ebb and this flow of energy. And much like the seasons, you have an ebb and the flow of, like, you have a period of time, like last week was a very masculine energy week for me. So I made sure that this week, as much as I can, I'm leaning more into the feminine energy side of things to really balance things out for me. You're speaking to my soul. I'm miserable most days. I'm always fighting against schedules. Yeah. And here's the thing. Keep in mind that, like, schedules aren't bad. Sometimes you need them. Kids need schedules. Kids need routine, things of that nature. And, like, obviously, if you have a doctor's appointment, you keep the doctor's appointment. If you make appointments even for your massages and haircuts, I have a haircut on Friday. That's an appointment. It's on my schedule. It's something I'm going to keep. I feel like the act in and of itself is actually a very feminine thing to be like, oh, groom me, make me pretty, give me a blowout. But hi, Lori. Hi, Donna. Good to see you guys. No problem being late, Lori. It's all good. But I have to keep an eye on the clock because I have a call right after this. But it's one of those things where now that this has been called to your attention, you can take this information and use it to make changes. You don't have to make dramatic changes, but understanding that there can be changes that you make. So how do I tie this into like my wellness journey? Intuitive eating is inherently feminine, because instead of resorting to having to follow a strict set of numbers and a strict set of rules, you get to use your intuition to decide how best to nourish your body. You take knowledge that you know to make the choice to not have brownies for all your meals for 3 weeks, right? You go, oh, I know that that's not necessarily the greatest choice for me. So let me use the information and the knowledge that I have about nutrition, about how the body works, about how to best serve my body so it feels like it can go out and do what I need it to do. But let me also figure out what I want. What do I want? What do I feel like? It's inherently a feminine thing. It's inherently a feminine thing. Leaning into the more feminine energy side of working out, for me today was go downstairs and do something. You know you'll feel better about yourself when you do, but I have full control to decide what I want to do and how long I'm going to do it. There's no number that I'm setting. There's no specific, oh, I have to do 45 minutes at a level 5 resistance at this particular. There's none of that. Some days I'm fast and some days I'm slow. Some days I'm sweating and my heart rate is in zone 2, and other days, like today, I barely broke a sweat. I barely broke a sweat. And it's just the act of the movement and the energy I create just from doing that. I'm like, oh, because I really didn't want to go downstairs and move my body. And I was like, you know what, just go downstairs, Just go downstairs for half an hour. Just do something. And you know what? Once I got started, I felt great. I was like, oh, this actually does feel good. I feel a little bit lighter. I feel good. Like, not like from weight, but like emotionally. I'm like, oh, energy. This is great. Approaching that in is the more feminine way. So what kind of changes? What sort of small things can you do? Here are some of the things, and this is stuff that I'm going to get into later. But and this will be hard for some people, but for other people, not so much. The book that I mentioned is called The Queen's Code. And apparently, here, let me look and see what the situation is on Amazon. Last time I looked, the actual hard copies of the books were outrageous in price. But the Queen's Code, why is it when I type in the Queen's Corgi came up as an option? Why? I'm intrigued. I love me a good corgi. Yes, so the Kindle edition is what you're going to want to do here. So if you have an iPhone, you can download the Kindle app. It's $9.95 as opposed to the paperback book, which is $25, or weirdly, the hardcover book is $79. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But for $9.95, worth a listen. If you are a woman that interacts with men in any way, it is worth a read. Not just for my married people, in any way, it's worth a read. And it's super, super, it's an enlightening thing. But one thing that I think is really, really interesting is the characteristics of feminine energy. Feminine energy is open to receiving. So, for example, and this is very surface level, but we're running out of time rapidly. Surface level. Next time somebody offers to open a door for you, let them. That's feminine energy. You know, things of that nature, being open to receiving, asking for help, asking for what you need. This is all very feminine energy. In order to be able to feed into what you need to be able to ask for help. It's just a very, very interesting thing. And what's really interesting is in a proper healthy dynamic with a spouse or a significant other, like, I can't tell you how many times, and I never started to really appreciate it and accept it as fact until I started learning about this stuff. But the way that my husband speaks to me is it is completely complementary to this entire concept, right? So I can't tell you how many times my husband's looked at me and goes, "You have to tell me what you want. I cannot get you what you want. I cannot do what you want. I cannot be what you want until you tell me what you want." He tells me that regularly. I can't help you if you don't tell me what you need help with. Let me know what you need. Any iteration of that phrase, he says to me on a regular basis. And if you read the book, The Queen's Code, you understand why. The masculine, the men want to provide. They want to be needed. They want to help you, but you have to communicate with them. So it's the perfect pairing. They want to do these things, and which is the masculine energy, and the feminine energy is to be willing to receive, be willing to ask for help, be willing to do those things. And I'd literally have it turned on me and reflected right back at me when my husband goes, "You need to tell me what you need so I can." And I'm just like, so this is real. Like, this is actually how it works. And it's inherent, which I thought was really interesting. Really, really interesting. Um, scrolling up, Snow started in New Hampshire. 12 to 18 inches. Are you serious, Lori? Oh my gosh. We had snow yesterday, but it didn't even stick. It just came down in really big snowflakes for about 2 hours, and then it was gone. I was like, oh, weird. The discussion is really making me want to reread Captivating. Both Captivating and Wild at Heart are books that illustrate how humans are made in the image of God in both masculinity and femininity. Yes, I need to pick up that book. I think that's going to be the next, once I catch up on this Harry Potter business, this is going to be one of the next things that I read because I'm really into this. Masculine and feminine should complement each other. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. I also see the spectrum that we all have both energies and can tap into either depending on our needs. Exactly. We think you'll find every woman in her heart of hearts longs for three things: to be romanced, to play an irreplaceable role in a great adventure. Ooh. And to unveil beauty. That's what makes a woman come alive. To unveil beauty. That's interesting. And so that's an interesting way to say things. And I'm sure it goes a lot deeper than surface level, especially in a book that talks about God's design for humanity. But that might be why, for the more feminine woman, appearance becomes such a big thing. Y'all, I put clothes on for y'all today and made sure, like, my hair is a frizzy little disaster, but I was like, look, it's curly. It's a little bit wild, but that's okay. And I put some makeup on for y'all because the appearance makes me feel more feminine. And I think, like, unveiling beauty, like, that's the easiest way to do it, right? Is to put yourself together and unveil your inner beauty or your outer beauty and all. Interesting. I'm very intrigued by this book. I'm not gonna lie. I once wanted to be romanced, 2 divorces later, nope. But then the question would become, Mac, and you don't have to respond, but just a rhetorical question would be, if the right individual came along again, if God plopped down the person you were meant to be with, then would that change? Would you want to be romanced by this individual if you knew that that was the individual? I become very interested in exploring the feminine in the Bible. Y'all, I just picked up a Bible study. I started it this week on from the Well-Watered Women, and it is called it's the study on Proverbs 31, the Proverbs 31 women. Grace-filled womanhood, I think is what it's called. Biblical women are inherently traditional, submissive, etc., but also strong in so many ways. Exactly. Any book recommendations? I will let y'all know. I think that the one that Liz is suggesting is a great choice, even though I haven't read it, but I'm going to read it. But as I encounter and go further and dive deeper, there's a lot of resources out there for women in the church and things like that, because we are meant to be submissive in some ways yet, but we are not meant to be weak. We are meant to be strong, and we are meant to be powerhouses. And if you have any doubt in that, who did Jesus reveal himself to first? Women. Women were important. Women were important. I can't read your mind. My hubby says that all the time. Yeah, men cannot read our minds. Nope. You have to tell them. They will be happy to help once you tell them, but you have to tell them. My man is a fixer. He always wants to fix my problems. I take that want to help me for granted. Not anymore. Thank you. Oh, I love this. I love that this conversation is impacting you so positively. I gave up on wanting to be romanced a long time ago, replaced it with wanting to be loved in non-romantic ways. Yes. Yin and yang then. Yeah, that's a great yin and yang is the relationship. Yeah. I think snow is an April Fool's joke. I do think the romance thing goes beyond stereotypical romance love. It's a desire to be wanted and pursued. Absolutely. Speaking as someone who has zero desire to be in any sort of romantic relationship. Yeah. Being wooed can, friendships you can woo a friendship and things too. I prefer I can't remember what Proverbs 32 says. I haven't been with anyone in decades. My pastor did a sermon on Proverbs 31 on Mother's Day, and it was pretty good. Reply to your question. I've got loads of healings to do, learn to love myself and nurture and even romance myself before I can even consider dating again. Absolutely. I was just using this as a hypothetical. Years and years and years down the road, in the hypothetical world where you have done all of the inner healing work and you love yourself to high heaven, it was just a hypothetical thing. But I know you gotta fix your relationship with you first. We all do. Proverbs 32 is a joke. Okay, because Proverbs is 31 the last chapter, right? Yeah, the last chapter. I should know this. I read Proverbs 31 on Monday. I should know this. Anyway, my friends, what a conversation. Thank you so much for being here for this as I begin, like I said, merely scratching the surface of all of this stuff. So if you, in your own personal pursuit of taking this and being like, this is intriguing to me, I would like to explore this on my own, I would love and encourage you to do that and then share with me what you're finding. If you find a resource that you're like, you know what, this was game changing, DM me, email me, share it with me. I would love to know because I am on just the merely beginnings of this journey as well. So I would love to share that with you. I always wish there was a Proverbs 32 woman, an addendum written for those who couldn't quite live up to the lady in chapter 31. It would include phrases like she tries hard. So here's the thing. Okay, hang on. Hang on. I have something to share. Hang on. I'll be a few minutes. Message my client quick because hang on. I want to read this. Let me see if I can find it. Oh no. It's on. Am I even reaching for the right thing? I don't know where the thing I'm reaching for. Here it is. I wasn't even reaching for the right book. Okay, this is the Bible study. The thing that made me think of that. Here we go. Here we go. This is in the introduction. The Proverbs 31 woman, who is she? Infamously known as the woman we all strive to be but can never quite measure up to despite all of our striving, the Proverbs 31 woman has often been misunderstood, misapplied, and misconstrued. She's always been the woman in the Bible who made me feel like I couldn't measure up. When I would read about her, the first words that came to mind about myself were not enough. If we look at this virtuous woman as a standard of perfection, a box to fit into, or a goal to live up to, we fall short. She isn't meant to be the barometer for our godliness. Instead, she is a picture of how a wholehearted pursuit of God impacts daily lives. The Proverbs 31 woman is often set as the standard for being a good Christian woman, wife, mother. However, this description of a virtuous woman does not have to be a stumbling block or a hindrance, but rather an example of a life fully devoted to God. Each verse was inspired and breathed out by God to be a source of hope and illumination for us. The Proverbs 31 woman is not a checklist to be marked off each day. She is a portrait of a woman whose life is wholly abandoned to God. She is not a destination we are trying to reach. She is an example of a life that fears the Lord and a portrait of grace-fueled womanhood. Okay? So let's lean into that. She's not a checklist. We have turned her into this perfect thing that we need to be. And guess what? We will never be the perfect thing because perfection doesn't exist. Okay? So lean into that. Thank you. They can watch the April Goals video now. Oh, I love that. Can you do a what feels fluffy to you sometime? DM me and let me know explain that a little bit further. Andy, this is a great conversation. Thank you so much. What are you reading from the Proverbs 31 woman? Never mind, you showed it. This is it. Wellwateredwoman.com, grace-filled womanhood. This is the Bible study that I just started. So there you go. All right, friends. Not at all what I thought I was coming to, but totally what I needed. I'm so glad. Thank you guys so much. Take care. I love you all, and I will see you all next week. Bye, guys.